Good morning. It's 9:30. We'll call the September 13th meeting of the Mill Creek Board of Supervisors to order. Would you please rise for the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Attorney Shaw, I believe we have an agenda amendment, or a couple of them.
Yes, thank you. Before we get started with the items on the agenda, there is one agenda item to be added in accordance with Section 712E of the Right to Know law. Under Section 712E, upon a majority vote of the individuals present and voting during the conduct of a meeting, an agency may add a matter of agency business to the agenda. The reasons for the changes to the agenda shall be announced at the meeting before any vote is conducted to make the changes to the agenda. The agency may subsequently take official action on the matter added to the agenda. The agency shall post the amended agenda on the agency's publicly available internet website, if available, and at the agency's principal office location no later than the first business day following the meeting at which the agenda was changed. The added agenda item here consists of a request to approve members of the Westlake and Westridge Special Fire Police to assist with traffic control for the Patriot Flag Ride on September 17th from 1300 hours until 1600 hours, which is the estimated ending time. This is a matter that came after the agenda was posted, and based upon the above, I would recommend that this item be added to the agenda under item 18 with the other fire police request. So we would need a motion to that effect.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the agenda amendment?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda amendment.
I'll second.
Mr. Block, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Item 3 on the agenda is public comment on agenda items other than development or rezoning applications. Any public comment? And please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Tyler Nowoshelski from 2917 Washington Avenue in the city of Erie. I'll keep this very brief. On behalf of myself and Erie Animal Network, we're very grateful the township is taking our concerns seriously and has hopefully decided in the separation of employment for Animal Control Officer Richard Lyle, that would be item 17, for his horrendous actions he took the afternoon of July 29th, 2022. Like I said before, the outcome of this investigation will weigh heavily on the supervisor's trust with the public and the integrity of this governing municipal body. Though through further investigations by members of the public, we will fully uncover the details of this investigation and know more about the heinous things ACO Rich Lau did while working on behalf of Mill Creek Township. I ask that you all vote yes today in the separation of employment of Richard Lau. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address the board on agenda items other than development or rezoning applications? Okay, we'll move on to approval of the minutes from the August 23rd meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Mr. Block, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving on to approval of the bills. Is there a motion to approve the bills?
Motion to approve the bills.
I'll second that.
Okay, Mr. Block, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving on to item 6 is the 2021 audit results presentation. Mark Z.
Yes, our auditors are going to present the audit results for the 2021 audit. George Jershevitz will be doing the presentation. I'm probably murdered your name, but I'm sorry.
Jershevitz.
Okay.
You were close. So my name is George Jershevitz, and I was the audit manager on the engagement this year. We're going to start off here with a quick overview of what we're going to go over here. So first, we'll get right into the audit results. Then we have some other required communications, and we'll finish up with some financial highlights. So starting off with the financial audit, the audit was performed in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America, as well as government auditing standards. We expressed an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, meaning that the financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. or in other words, everything is just as it should be with no issues. So now on to the single audit, and this is something that's actually new for the township this year. So basically, anytime an entity has more than $750,000 in federal money expenditures, the entity has to have an audit over compliance and also over internal control over compliance with the federal programs that are considered major to the entity. So for Mill Creek Township, the major program that was tested was the coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds, where the result of the audit was again an unmodified opinion over compliance. And the CFI, and as far as internal control goes, we did not note any deficiencies. So once again, in the most simple terms possible, the township is in compliance and there were no issues. So just some other required, things we're required to tell you guys according to auditing standards. So there were no difficulties encountered in performing the audit. There were no disagreements with management. Management reputations are to be obtained prior to issuing the final bound reports, which we did in fact receive. There were no management consultations with other accountants to our knowledge. And we do have a couple new accounting standards this year, GASB 92 and certain parts of GASB 98, both of which had no effect on the township's financial statements. So now getting into some financial highlights here. On pages 10 and 11 of the financial audit report, this is a comparison of government-wide results between 2020 and 2021. So total assets for governmental activities increased by about $10.3 million, or 10.6%, which was mostly due to good investment performance, which increased the net pension asset, but also due to more accounts receivable at year-end. Total liabilities decreased by about $5.7 million, or 11.5%, which again is mostly due to investment performance in 2021, which decreased the OPEB liability. But also partially due to less accounts payable at year-end and payments on long-term debt, which reduced those balances as well. Business type activities assets remained fairly the same, only increasing by 1%. However, there was a significant decrease in total liabilities, a decrease of 26%, which again is mostly due to the decrease in the OPEB liability. Page 14 compares governmental fund revenues and expenditures from year to year. Revenues increased by $3.3 million, almost entirely due to an increase in federal revenue generated by the American Rescue Plan. Expenditures also increased by about $3.8 million, or 12.79%, due to an increase in capital projects for the year, which were related to the increase in federal revenue. Pages 18 and 20 are the governmental funds, balance sheet, and income statement. The general fund had a net loss of $1.6 million, mostly due to the transfer of funds of $2 million to start the revolving loan fund. The total governmental fund balance was approximately $36.8 million, with about $10 million being unassigned. So then we have the budgetary cushion ratio here, calculated by taking unassigned fund balance and dividing it by revenues. This is thought by finance professionals to be, one of the most important financial indicators for local government's financial condition, and basically tells us how much of the government's revenues have been reserved and available to be carried over into the following year. So Mill Creek Township's budgetary cushion ratio is a strong 29.77%, where Moody's specifies that around 10% is generally sufficient for normal increases and contingencies. And so here's our contact information. Brian Crucial is the engagement partner, and then my contact information is listed right below. Please do not hesitate to contact us with any questions or concerns. And so, this actually concludes what I have. And so, does anyone have any questions or comments they'd like to make now?
I don't have any comments, but I want to thank you. This was a very thorough and informative presentation. We certainly appreciate your efforts. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I would also like to recognize Mark Zaszewski, who is the reason that we have a 29% in this. So I think that that's extraordinary, and I want to thank you for keeping us so fiscally responsible over the years. So Mill Creek owes you a debt of gratitude.
It's always fun.
Yes, all those numbers. Sounds like a blast.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to bids and quotations. The first item is a change order number 2, sidewalk replacement project phase 1. Mr. Waldinger.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. This is for the Berkeley Sidewalk Replacement Project that is being funded by Community Development Block Grant funds. This change order is to add driveway apron adjustments on the west side of Berkeley that were inadvertently omitted from the original contract. It also includes a deduction for extra sidewalk quantities that were not used. The net adjustment for this change order is $31,965, which brings the project total to $200,525. This project, including the change orders, will be fully funded by the township's Community Development Block Grant, and I would recommend that the board approve this change order.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board? Is there a motion to approve this change order?
Motion to approve the change order?
I'll second that.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is a stormwater pipe repair for Saybrook Place. Mr. Waldinger?
Yes, thank you. Bids were opened on September 6th for the Saybrook Place repair of stormwater system project. There were 3 bids received: Consul Construction, $748,000, XL Excavating, $450,000, and Shivers Construction, $431,998. After bids were reviewed, Township Engineer Ann Sokol recommends awarding the contract to Shivers Construction, the low bidder, for the bid amount of $431,998. The township will be supplying the pipe and manholes for this project, and this is a budgeted project in the Planning and Development capital budget.
Thank you, Matt. Any comments or questions from the board? Is there a motion to approve?
No motion to approve the Saybrook Place pipe and erosion repair?
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is the Millfair Road Recycling Center milling and paving project.
Hi, good
Jesse.
morning. The Public Services Department received sealed bids to mill and replace 2,150 square yards of pavement and also add 425 square yards of new pavement at the Millfair Compost and Recycling Center. This is a capital budget item, and the paving is also DEP grant reimbursed. 2 bids were received: Lindy Paving, $99,518, and Joseph McCormick Construction, $82,791.13. Our recommendation is to award the paving contract to Joseph McCormick Construction.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board? Is there a motion to approve this paving project?
Motion to approve Joseph McCormick Construction for the paving project in Millfair?
I'll second that.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is recycle toters for the recycling department. Jesse?
The recycling department would like to purchase 35-gallon recycle toters locally from Rarig Pacific, which are manufactured right here in Erie. This is the same company that manufactured the current 65-gallon and 95-gallon toters that were distributed by Advanced Disposal. We have a current quote of $51.42 per toter with a minimum purchase quantity of 180 toters. The bin purchased is included in the 2022 Public Services budget as a capital budget item and is eligible for PA DEP 902 grant reimbursement. It is our recommendation to purchase 180 toters with freight for a total of $9,530.60.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the toters?
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is a traffic signboard software renewal. Mr. Donikowski?
Thank you. Good morning. There was a quote received from All Traffic Solutions Incorporated, excuse me, for the renewal of the signboard software. The quote amount is $1,900. The cost for the software will be split between the EMA and the streets budget, since each entity owns one of the boards. It will come out of the GL 44041 account for the EMA and code enforcement, and the streets department GL account 44041 software maintenance. The cost for each department will be $950. The remaining balance for EMA code and the software maintenance amount will be $29,555.39. The remaining balance in the streets department software maintenance budget will be $4,735.91. It is our recommendation that we renew the signboard software with All Traffic Solutions Incorporated for the cost of $1,900.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the signboard software with All Traffic Solutions.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is manhole adjusting rings. Mr. Donikowski.
The sewer department is seeking approval to purchase 50 each 1 1/4 inch manhole adjusting rings. One quote was received from LB Water for the price of $12,607.50 under CoStar's contract 016026. These funds will be taken from the sewer department expense budget. It is my recommendation to purchase these adjusting rings from LB Water for the CoStar's price of $12,607.50.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the manhole adjusting rings.
I'll second that.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is the Wolf Road Force Main Fittings and Accessories. Mr. Donikowski.
The sewer department is seeking approval to purchase a 14 by 12 inch Y, a 14 inch plug valve and accessories for the Wolf Road Force Main Replacement Project. One quote was received from LB Water for the price of $15,314.90 under CoStar's contract 016026. These funds will be taken from the Wolf Road Force Main project line of the sanitary sewer capital budget, leaving a balance of $1,625,352.10. It is my recommendation to purchase these items from LB Water for the CoStar's price of $15,314.90.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
Motion to approve the Wolf Road Force Main Fittings and Accessories.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is 32nd and Stoughton pipelining.
The streets department is seeking approval to have National Gunite spray line 85 linear feet of 40 inch by 66 inch corrugated metal pipe in the area of West 32nd and Stoughton Avenue. A quote was received from National Gunite for the price of $45,408, and this is under CoStar's contract 41-006. These funds will be taken from the pipelining line of the streets department capital budget, leaving a balance of $142,032. It is my recommendation to contract this work to National Gunite for the CoStar's price of $45,408.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the National Gunite CoStar price.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is a fire alarm upgrade for Public Works. Rob?
Building maintenance is seeking approval to upgrade the township building's fire alarm system per the attached quote. This quote was received from the Wilkins Company Incorporated for the price of $30,680.66 under CoStar's contract 040-E22-145. The funds from this project will be taken from the balance of the main building line of the building maintenance capital budget, and $2,453.66 will be taken from the unbudgeted expenses line of the building maintenance capital budget. It is my recommendation to enter into this contract with the Wilkins Company Incorporated per the attached quote.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the Wilkins Company.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is the Asbury Barn Fire Protection System. Ms. Marsteller?
Good morning, thank you. The current fire alarm and protection system at the Asbury Barn is unfortunately failing. There are ongoing electrical issues that are causing misfirings of the system. The incidents of misfiring have increased over the last couple of months. Upon inspection by our township electrician, Jeff Tenney, it was recommended that the system be replaced as soon as possible. The Wilkins Company submitted a quote of $21,247.97 for the replacement of the Asbury Barn and Park Complex fire alarm system under CoStar's contract number 040E22145. This quote includes updating the alarm system for the Asbury Barn, as well as 2 workshop areas and our equipment pole barn. The system replacement and update will be covered under the Parks and Recreation capital budget. The fire protection update at Asbury Barn and Park is a high priority as it's essential to maintain the safety of employees and visitors. And it is when we are currently causing misfirings, which is kind of inappropriate use of our fire and police protection resources. So for this reason, the fire protection update is requested to replace the Bell Valley roof replacement line item in the Parks and Recreation capital budget. There was $21,600 allotted for the roof, so the fire protection update at $21,247.97 will leave a surplus of $352.03 in this capital budget line item. It is my recommendation to approve the fire alarm and protection system of the Asbury Barn and Park with the Wilkins Company for $21,247.97 under the CoStar's contract listed.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Are we moving then the roof to next year?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
instead.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. Just wanted to make sure the roof will get done.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Then I'll make a motion to approve the fire alarm and protection system at Asbury.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is the Veterans Park roof replacement. Ashley?
The Veterans Park shelter roof has been compromised with issues with leaks due to damage caused by the shelter's position within a heavily wooded area. Upon inspection, issues with the chimney flashing has also been discovered. The Parks and Recreation Department is recommending replacement of the current roof with a metal roof. The metal roof will provide durability and better protection from the elements in the area. Quotes were obtained for the metal roof installation from Angelo's Roofing, Matt Kroll Construction, and Straight Enterprises. Angelo's Roofing submitted a quote of $20,400. Matt Kroll Construction submitted a quote of $19,300, and Straight Enterprises submitted a quote of $14,000. The Parks and Recreation capital budget allotted for this project, there was $15,600 in the budget for this roof replacement, and accepting the low quote of $14,000 from Straight Enterprises will leave a budget surplus of $1,600. So it is my recommendation to approve the installation of a metal roof at Veterans Park by Straight Enterprises for $14,000.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving on to item 8, non-substantial amendments of approved land development plans. The first item would be the Country Fair store on West 12th Street. Matt?
Thank you. In the interest of time, since there are 3 of these on the agenda, I would just like to note at the outset that all of the following amendments have been reviewed by Township Engineer Ann Sokol, and her engineer certification for each is attached to the individual drawings as required. The certification indicates that each of the proposed amendments meets the township's criteria for a non-substantial amendment. So the first amendment request is for Country Fair number 73. This is for the construction of a 936 square foot addition on the existing impervious surface, which will house a new cooler and freezer. As I mentioned, this was reviewed by Township Engineer and approved, so we recommend that the board approve this non-substantial amendment.
Okay. You want to act on all 3 of these, or
Can they do them as a
Individually.
group, or should they do them individually?
Probably separate.
Oh, I'm not sure. All right.
Matt, do we typically have people speak on these?
Not usually. It's
Okay.
usually a procedure.
Yeah, I think, unless there's any objection, I think you can go through all three and
Okay.
approve them all at once is
Yep.
fine.
All right. The second amendment then is for the Mill Creek Community Hospital Emergency Department and ICU Land Development Plan. Mill Creek Community Hospital is seeking to revise the above-mentioned land development plan by showing the removal and replacement of a 1,800 square foot portion of an existing building and the removal of a 1,600 square foot portion of the building. The stormwater conveyance has also been shown on the amended plan. The net change in impervious area is actually a reduction of 700 square feet. And again, that was reviewed and approved by the township engineer.
Okay.
And then the last is for Modwash. The developer, Hutton Erie Fillmore, PAST LLC, is proposing to adjust the site plan to provide 90-degree parking spaces as opposed to the previous approved angle parking layout at their development on West 26th Street. As I mentioned, this was reviewed by Township Engineer Ann Sokol, also reviewed by the zoning department to ensure that it met the requirements for parking, and it was approved by both. So I would ask now that the board approve all three of these land development amendments.
Okay, thank you, Matt. There are no comments or questions from the board. Is there a motion to approve all three of these amendments to approve land development plans?
Make a motion to approve all three amendments to the land development plans.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Item 9 is an exclusion from a land development request for Amazon at 2424 West 23rd. Matt?
Thank you. The developer, Erie Commerce LLC, is proposing a 320 square foot accessory building to the west of the existing building, which is located at 2424 West 23rd Street. It has been reviewed by the township engineer and the zoning and development officer. There is a form stating that it meets the requirements for an exclusion. So at this time, I would recommend that the board approve this exclusion from land development for this 320 square foot accessory building.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the Amazon modified storage container.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is a newer amended ordinance under review, limited lodging rental ordinance. Ms. Caparosa?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When the township adopted its new zoning ordinance earlier this year, the new zoning ordinance now permits limited lodging use in certain zoning districts and in an overlay district within the township. And in order to supplement the regulations for limited lodging that are in the zoning ordinance and to protect the peace, health, and welfare of township citizens, trade, and commerce that may be impacted by potential limited lodging, the township is proposing to adopt an ordinance that provides for the regulation and registration of limited lodging premises within the designated zoning and overlay districts within the township. The proposed ordinance requires that all property owners within the MU1, MU2, PI district, and the limited lodging overlay district obtain a permit for each dwelling unit they intend to use as a limited lodging. The proposed ordinance requires the applicant to submit specific information to the township, such as floor and site plans, emergency contact information, a photo of the exterior of the property, proof of insurance in the amount of $500,000, tax and use certificates, and a township use certificate, as well as to comply with specific standards and inspection requirements in order to be granted a limited lodging permit. The limited lodging permit would be valid for 1 year from issuance and must be renewed annually. This ordinance also provides for penalties if a property owner or renter violates any provision of the proposed ordinance, and a violation will be a summary offense subject to a fine of $1,000. The proposed ordinance will be formally considered and voted on by the Board of Supervisors at the September 27th meeting, and a draft of the proposed ordinance will be available on the website before the end of today. Any questions?
None here. Thank you.
Really quick question, just so that I think the residents understand. This is for limited lodging, which refers to the Airbnbs and Verbos, I think. Okay.
Short-term rental.
So,
properties.
yes, so they will have to register those properties.
Correct.
Every year.
Every year. And in addition to the permit, they'll also be required under the zoning ordinance, as it already does, required to obtain a use certificate from
And
the
a
zoning
use,
office.
okay, and a use certificate.
Annually.
Okay. And there are some other restrictions there, so, okay.
Yes.
And what is the fine for not adhering to the,
It's up to $1,000.
okay. All right, thank you for the clarification.
Item 11 is Resolution 2022-R40. It's a resolution to approve the financial statements of the Independent Auditor's Report of the Erie Area Council of Governments, also known as the COG, for the calendar year ending December 31st, 2021. Mill Creek Township is a member of the Erie Area Council of Governments. Last week, they reviewed their financial statements, and everything is in good order. So with this resolution, the Board of Supervisors would approve the report to the COG, and we'll pass that along. So is there a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion to approve Resolution 2022-R40?
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Item 12 is a developer agreement for a sewer extension for St. Mary's Home on West Ridge Road. Matt?
Thank you. St. Mary's Home of Erie is expanding at their site on West Ridge Road based on the land development plan previously approved by the board. And this expansion requires an extension of the sanitary sewer system. St. Mary's will be performing the extension at their cost, and the attached agreement details the contractor's responsibilities when constructing the expansion. The plans for the extension have been approved by Sanitary Sewer Technical Manager Dave Wright, and the agreement has been reviewed and is properly completed. I would recommend that the board approve the agreement with St. Mary's Home of Erie and that the chair be authorized to sign the document.
Okay, are there any comments or questions from the board on this developer agreement?
I'll make a motion to approve the St. Mary's Sewer Developer Agreement.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Item 13 is an MOU between Mill Creek Police and the FBI. Mr. Shaw?
Yes, thank you. Item 13 is a memorandum of understanding between the Mill Creek Township Police Department and the FBI. This simply formalizes the relationship between the township and the FBI, whereby the FBI and the township can agree upon essentially lending a police officer to assist the FBI with some of its task force efforts. It contains a variety of provisions that deal with compensation and things along those lines, and provides that the township would be compensated for any overtime worked by the officer in conjunction with his assignment with the FBI. The township would continue to pay his normal wages as though he were here, but he'll be associated with the FBI during this time frame. So the recommendation would be to approve this memorandum of understanding.
Okay, any comments or questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I would also like to note that the FBI will be paying the costs of any overtime with this agreement as well.
Very good, thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the MOU between the Mill Creek Police Department and the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is the PennDOT Highway Safety and Traffic Operations Intersection Program Participation. Rob, are you handling this?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. This is I believe, a federal program that identifies several pedestrian crossings at some major intersections within the township, and it's potentially some grant funding for the future here. And I believe we'll have to take some action on that to approve the application.
Yeah, I think you just simply approve submitting the application to seek this funding.
Okay. Is there a motion to that effect?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is an agreement with the Erie County Planning to administer the CDBG program. Matt?
Thank you. Erie County Department of Planning and Community Development administers Mill Creek's Community Development Block Grant funds on behalf of the township. They have provided agreements for these administrative services for the fiscal year 2021 and the fiscal year 2022 CDBG programs. Administration fees for fiscal year 21 program are $30,000, and for fiscal year 22 are $25,000. These represent 12.3% and 10.6% of Mill Creek's allocation, respectively. Under Housing and Urban Development Guidelines, the fee could be up to 18% of a grantee's allocation. The work the county performs is crucial to the township's CDBG program. Mill Creek is receiving $242,539 in fiscal year 21 and $236,114 in fiscal year 22. The fees charged by the county are well below the maximum they could assess, and all fees are deducted directly from our allocation, not paid from the general fund. I would recommend that the board approve both agreements and authorize the chair to sign each.
Thank you, Matt. Any comments or questions from the board on this agreement?
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with Erie County Planning.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Next item is a financial security release request for the Pacific Avenue Development, Westminster Development, LLC. Matt?
Yep, thank you. The holder of the letter of credit for the Pacific Avenue Development Supportive Living Services Incorporated has requested the release of their financial security. At this time, the stormwater management system has not been constructed to reasonable conformity with the approved stormwater management plan. Under the municipality's planning code, once a developer requests a reduction or release, the township has 45 days to act on such, and if they do not, then it is deemed an approved release. Because they have not completed and because the time limit is approaching, it's the recommendation of the Planning and Development Department to deny the request until all until all improvements have been completed.
Thank you, Matt. Any comments or questions from the board on this request denial?
No, I'll make a motion to approve the release denial.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Item 17 is a memorandum of agreement between Mill Creek Township, ASME Local 3530, and Richard Lyle, the separation from employment. Mr. Shaw?
Yes, this agenda item is a memorandum of understanding between the township, the ASME union, and Richard Lyle. This is an agreement that has been signed by both the union and Mr. Lyle. Under the agreement, Mr. Lyle is resigning his employment with the township effective today. In conjunction with that resignation, the township is providing Mr. Lyle with certain earned accrued benefits, a 1-month severance package, and medical insurance till the end of the year. It is recommended that supervisors approve this agreement, which will resolve this matter in its entirety.
Any comments or questions from the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the MOA with between AFSCME, Mill Creek Township, and Richard Lyle.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving on to communications, Treasurer Communications. Mark, anything?
Nothing further this time.
Okay. We have a recycling grant award. Jesse?
Thank you. The Mill Fair Special Collection event was held on Saturday, May 21st, 2022 from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. With 30 volunteers and 350 residents in attendance, the recycling department recycled 4.45 tons of tires, 9,777 pounds of paper to be shredded. A certificate of destruction was received by North Coast Shredding. And with the amount of paper that was recycled, the event saved 83 trees, 34 1,300 gallons of water and 53.9 barrels of oil and 14.7 cubic yards of landfill space. Under the Household Small Business Hazardous Waste Collection Program grant reimbursement, Mill Creek Township was awarded $1,772.19 from the PADEP.
Great, thank you, Jesse. Next item on the agenda is a request from the police chief to appoint Anthony Maggio. He's a member of the Kearsarge Fire Department. Appoint him to this position of a special fire police officer. He has passed all the required background investigations, and it's the chief's recommendation that Anthony be appointed to the fire police pending being sworn in, taking the oath of office at a later date. Is there a motion to approve Anthony's appointment?
Motion to approve Anthony's appointment.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Executive sessions were held on September 1st and the 8th to discuss various legal issues.
Mr. Chair, the added agenda item.
I do. Next item on the agenda would be approval for the Westlake and Westridge Fire Police to assist with traffic control for the Patriot Flag Ride on September 17th from 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. That's an estimated time. Any comments or questions from the board on this request?
I'll make a motion to approve the request.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Mrs. Clear?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Moving on to solicitor communications, Mr. Shaw?
Yes, I have two items. First, at the last meeting, we had talked about the creation of a municipal authority, and I wanted to kind of follow up on that. As indicated, we are recommending to form some sort of municipal authority to assist with the implementation of the Presque Isle Gateway District Plan. The recommendations of that plan, which are currently being under review to be adopted as part of the comprehensive plan, include things such as improving the streetscape and walkability of the district corridors, develop various walking and biking trails connected to Presque Isle, pursue redevelopment of open and existing areas, including areas along 8th Street. In order to accomplish these recommendations, it would be useful for the township to have an authority in place to assist with achieving these recommendations. Essentially, second-class township has, there are two authorities that the township can look at. One would be a standard municipal authority formed under the Pennsylvania Municipalities Authorities Act, and one would be an authority formed under the Pennsylvania Economic Development Financing Law. Both authorities are very similar. There are, some differences. Obviously, the authority under the Pennsylvania Economic Development Financing Law is a little more focused to development and redevelopment issues, whereas a municipal authority, a general municipal authority, can also focus on things such as parks, business improvement areas, transportation, parking, and things along those lines. Municipal authority also has the ability to condemn, whereas the economic authority wouldn't. But again, they're really very similar, and at the end of the day, it'll depend on kind of what ultimately is concluded from the supervisor perspective of what's needed and what the focus should be. We have, as indicated from the last meeting, gone ahead and published a hearing for the establishment of a municipal authority, which is scheduled for October 11 of 2022. A redevelopment authority doesn't require such a hearing, but simply a resolution. So the board still has the opportunity to, evaluate the types of authorities that it may want to proceed with, and we're continuing with that evaluation, but preparing for both options as we have it. So that's where we're at the moment. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
The second item that we have relates to the Fire Commission. At the last meeting of the Fire Commission made 3 recommendations. The first recommendation was to hire a consultant to assist the commission, the fire departments in the township, with the consolidation process of the fire departments. The thinking behind this recommendation is that without someone familiar with consolidation and combined departments being paid to assist, the commission is finding it to be a challenge to have volunteers perform those types of tasks. There's obviously a lot of demand on the time of the volunteers, and it's just has been a challenge over the process with the fire commission. Consultant could also help kind of mediate any differences that may arise, during this consolidation planning. Second recommendation was for the township to hire a full-time fire chief. The thinking behind this was that a belief that a full-time fire chief would also provide leadership and assistance in any consolidation plan that may move forward. And lastly, the third recommendation was to hire full-time firefighters and provide a job description and hiring process for such firefighters. The concern is that among the fire departments is that there is insufficient coverage at times, relying solely on the volunteers, and this would be particularly in daytime hours where it is a challenge for the volunteers to respond if they're working during that time period. Based on these recommendations from the Fire Commission, my recommendation would be to schedule a special joint meeting between the Township Supervisors and the Fire Commission to further explore and discuss these recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw.
And if you agree with my recommendation, I think we would need a motion to set that in process.
Very good. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation of the special meeting with the supervisors and the Fire Commission?
Yes, I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Bach, how do you vote?
Vote yes.
Mrs. Claire?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, moving on to citizens to be heard. Anyone wishing to address the board? Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?